What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for Bleach: The Thousand Year Blood War. This is episode 18, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Mhm. Definitely one of the better episodes in the score, I think. Um, so let's see. So the episode starts us off like back at the Soul King Palace, which Ichigo is preparing to return to the Soul Society with. I guess he's been giving it like a new protective clothing to for his descent back down to the Serite.
Yeah, it almost felt like we kind of missed something at the beginning of the episode with Ichigo, because if we remember in the last time we saw Ichigo in that post credit scene, uh, he had reached the end of the path, and he had gotten to this room, um, but they don't really go over what happened there, and they just kind of, it seemed like they lost over that, and they just cut to him. He's already finished his training, and now he's going back to the Sarate. Uh,
I have a feeling that they might flash us back into that training maybe once he gets into his first fight with whomever he's going to come up against. Same thing like they
yeah,
did with Renji in I think it was in the last episode, back when he was discovering his true Bankai at the time, and they just flash us back to when he was at the Soul King Palace training with Rukia. That he was told that his original Bankai was not his true name, but the So Zabimaru was his true Bankai. So it's possible that
hmm.
we will eventually flash back into what Ichigo is doing with the remainder of his training. But as of right now, it seems like Ichigo's already heading back into the Seirite, but it's gonna take him at least half a day to to go down there at the rate he's going.
Originally they said it was going to take him a week, but he said he would be able to do it in half a day.
Yeah, I mean only if he's like literally walking down those steps by
Oh yeah,
foot. But
he
yeah.
yeah, well he jumped down, like, just basically after he heard that that 3 hours, it's been 3 hours since the Quincy invasion, so that kind of prompted him to just jump instead of walking down the stairs, and just jump down instead.
Yeah, and each as soon as like each goes diving down, he immediately makes a call to Urahara, telling him to hold out as long as they can until he gets there. Pretty much reassuring him that he'll take care of everything.
Yeah. Um, but this episode is mainly focused on, well, one a fight between Rukia and the Asnot, the Fear.
Yeah,
But before we get into that too, we also go expand on the another post credit scene where Hajwald is talking to Uryu, and we kind of left on this cliffhanger where he said that he would reveal uh, the true nature of Yawak. And we kind of learned some things about him. I mean, we kind of knew this already. That, I guess, based on one of the previous episodes, that he absorbs the I guess the dead Stern Ritter's souls into himself.
yeah,
Um,
and we
but
also yeah.
yeah, well,
So
I was
we
gonna say too. Apparently, the I guess any of the Stern Ritters that managed to survive, um, and if they've been defeated, they end up being executed by Hashwald, uh, and of course being absorbed into Yawak.
Yeah, but the only other person who's not there is Bambietta, which I'm assuming
Yeah,
that she's being used for other means by, I guess, some of her good friends.
yeah. Of course, the two Stern Ritter that get executed is I think it was Kandu, and I forget the name of the that robot or machine, uh Stern Ritter.
Yeah, apparently they both get decapitated, and of course their souls get absorbed. After Yuhaba absorbs their souls, Uryu points out that both those both of them were at least strong combatants and questions why they needed to kill them. Um, Hashwolf counters that Yuhaba's true plan is not to conquer the Soul Society, but it's he mentions that he has some kind of other goal, which he doesn't really elaborate on what that other goal is, but he does mention about the time when Uryu ended up drinking Yuhaba's blood. Uh, Basically, in a way, Yuva imparted his soul into Uryu now.
Yeah, so Odayu is technically like a part of him. Uh, so he's in a way also linked to Ewok like the other Stern Ritter.
Mhm. Yeah, but of course, Hashwal tells Uryu, um, like a certain something, but we don't really get to hear what he says, but but it's enough to really shock Uryu to his core. So what that is, we'll
Hmm.
probably not find out maybe for another set of episodes.
Yeah, probably not. I'm assuming, I guess it'll probably be like this scene that follows up a scene from one of the previous. Well, I think it was episode 17 at the end of that.
Hmm.
Um, but it'll probably maybe next episode or the episode after that, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, they'll reveal what he said, or maybe it's such a big shocking revelation they might hold off until the end of the core or something. Um, but I guess we'll see. Uh, but yeah, like I said, the episode uh, we follow Rukia mostly in this episode, where um, after she delivered the injured captains to, I think it was Squad 4, she's going around the Soul Society, and she eventually gets encounters Asnot. But Asnot, basically what he does is just he kind of sneaks up on her and sort of just tries to, pretty much the whole time he's trying to inflict fear into Rukia. Um, and he explains that his powers can, or the way he does it, his fear can get it, I guess, get inside your bloodstream, and you're, once it touches you, you're already affected by it.
yeah, and of course yeah, the only reason why he's facing off against Rukia is so he can go up against Byakuya, because of course, like all the other Soul Reapers who got their Bankais back, Byakuya likely got his Bankai back as well.
Yeah. Um, but here we kind of just, for the most part, it's just this confrontation between Asnod and Rukia. And for the beginning of this confrontation, Asnod tries to inflict fear upon Rukia, but Rukia explains that, of course, she can't. The way his powers work, it can't actually inflict fear upon her because of her ice abilities, and that she is able to reduce her body temperature to uh, below freezing, so that she's technically dead. Because
Yeah,
his fear can only affect living beings, but it can't affect her because of what she's able to do with her ice powers.
yeah, and with it's pretty much her enhanced form of Soda no Shirayuki. Basically, like she just like she uses to her advantage to basically just cut off the flow of blood in her body, just basically just simulating the effects that she's dead. But there is a downside to this, is because the more she uses it, the more likely she'll end up injuring herself as well.
Yeah. Well, she also explains that uh she can't use it for, well, she can't use some of her abilities for too long. She can only use some of them for 4 seconds, or else she ends up injuring herself.
Yeah,
Um
she does manage to strike a couple blows on Asnot, which renders him incapacitated with her abilities, just almost freezing him to death. But he, unfortunately, it doesn't really kill him. He basically just, uh, I guess, he just cracks himself out of all that ice, basically just damaging himself in the process. But of course, it just reveals his more grotesque form soon after that.
yeah, I'm guessing he uses Volstern Dish, or whatever it is that the Quincy the Sternder use. Um because we see basically his, I guess you'd say, like his evolved form.
Hmm.
Um but we kind of get these little flashbacks, I guess that's what you call it, uh of him in like with what appears to be more of a human form that he, I guess, maybe used to have, but he's in like a hospital bed and he has a respirator on, and then he's visited by Yawak. He's basically saying it's painful to live, or painful to breathe, and Yawak, I guess, bestows some kind of power upon him, which must have turned him into what he is now, I'm assuming. Um, but it's not very clear. It's a little bit vague as to what exactly happened. Um, I can only guess that he was someone who for whatever reason, was uh, couldn't live a normal life and was stuck in like a hospital bed, and maybe he would was also a Quincy, which is why Yawak gave him this power.
Yeah,
Um,
and and of course, once we see Asnot's enhanced form, his I guess his form of inflicting fear is more effective than what it was prior. And despite Rukia's best efforts to use her Sori no Shirayuki again, it unfortunately, the fear still envelops her to the point where she sees her friends and Byakuya just rot in the same manner, like that Byakuya saw Rukia did in the last core.
yeah, some of the visuals here are pretty crazy. Just, I mean, of course, it's kind of a lot of similar to what we saw in that one episode in the first core when Asnot first showed up. We see stuff like multiple eyes staring at her and her being covered by all these bugs, which I guess is supposed to symbolize the fear. We also see her like Rukia with her eyes poked out, which is just this is a lot of gruesome imagery that we see when Asnot tries to inflict her with fear.
Yeah, I mean, the animators just did not pull back on the overall graphic nature of this episode. Like,
Yeah.
despite the fact that there's been a lot of visual gore and blood and like throughout the entirety of this um of this new season so far. But yeah, this one really definitely takes it to another level with just really just like the horrific aspects of like how Astronaut's abilities work.
Well, and also like the further he I guess evolves, the more grotesque he becomes in terms of his form because he turns and eventually turns into this giant creature.
Yeah, like his organs just like literally just pop out from inside out, and it just just makes him into this giant grotesque looking being, like whatever he is. And as soon as Rukia is about to be enveloped by all this fear, Byakuya steps in time to save her.
Yeah. And of course he uses Sinbon Zakura to protect her, and he says that he's impressed uh by how far she's come and how much her abilities have developed, which, if we know like anything about Rukia, she's always looking for Byakuya's approval. So hearing that, of course, kind of makes her happy, but because Byakuya, I guess, rarely, I guess, really praises her that much. Um, but yeah, she so Byakuya steps into the fight and pretty much just completely destroys him using Sinbone Zakura, and he doesn't really, and he even says he's not really even using the Bankai form of Sinbone Zakura.
Yeah, it was mainly using his Shikai form, and
Yeah,
basically just compliments Asnot's for stealing his Bankai in the first place because it allowed Byakuya during his time in what was it in the Soul King Palace to enhance his abilities even further. Even once he gets his Bankai back, his Shikai is just as powerful as his original Bankai. So we would have to well, I mean, it's hard to imagine, to know like how powerful his Bankai is as of right now.
yeah. I'm assuming he must have maybe also attained true Bankai because we see Rukia's Bankai has also evolved to what I assume is her true Bankai.
Yeah, so she finally unleashes her new Bankai called Haka no Togame, which it pretty much like it engulfs like the entire area around her into ice, just near below freezing temperatures to the point where Asnot is unable to avoid it and he just like crumbles to pieces soon afterwards, and of course some succumbs to his own fear of dying.
Yeah, yeah. So that, I mean, it kind of, I didn't really expect the fight to end that quickly, but I guess like Rukia, once she activates like the true Bankai, she can't have it active for that long or something. So I mean, I'm assuming it must be like a really powerful attack, uh, because it doesn't last too long, and it must be like something that's powerful enough to end the fight right, pretty much right then.
Yeah,
Um,
Byakuya also, uh, I mean, even though he praises her Bankai's, abilities, he warns her that it's also dangerous for her physically because one single misstep could cause her to die instantaneously. As as
Yeah.
like her hands started to crack before Byakuya literally tries to stop her from for I guess for like he tells her to to take it slow, otherwise like she'll end up shattering to pieces just like Asnot did.
Yeah. And then, of course, they go off to try to help the Soul Society. Um, but we also get another scene at the end where we go back to Squad 4, and Asane is still, trying to heal people. Um, then I think, I forget her name, but
Yeah, Yachiru.
yeah, Chiro, yeah, she comes in and is she notices, I guess, one of the Quincy's. I don't know what his ability is. I guess he can mask his presence because he comes up and she notices him, and like I think she punches him in the face, but then he ends up hitting her back, and that's when he kind of I don't know if he's revealed his name or anything, but he just I don't know if we've even seen this person before, um,
No.
but yeah,
I'm
he's just shows up um, and that's pretty much where the episode ends. Is that I guess they're teasing that this maybe some kind of a fight with that between this guy and Yashiro and Isane, which would be interesting because Yashiro and Isane don't really are kind of in the background most of the series. Like they sometimes help out, but Isane mostly just. I think she mostly has like healing abilities. She doesn't. I don't know if she really can uh, do too much in terms of like combat wise. And Yachiro, she just tags along with Kenpachi, and we don't really know too much about what she can do.
Yeah. I mean, the only times I don't know if they're really canon, but there's these those post-credit like comedy skits called Shinigami Cups. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember those little
you mean
skits.
the Shinigami picture book skits?
Yeah, those little those
I
little comedy skits.
Yeah, I don't know if
Epic.
those are canon. They might have been taken from the manga, but so I don't know. It's I mean, yeah, I remember some of them, but not like all of them.
Yeah, I mean those were some of the only storylines where you could see some characters that don't normally interact with each other in the normal storyline interact with each other in this one under comedic circumstances. But yeah, but personally, like I kind of miss those to be honest. But I think, but it wouldn't really fit like the overall tone that this show is uh sh- currently showing off.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of missing the more comedic, lighthearted elements that the series had before. I mean, it still has those, but I think they're kind of. I mean, and I feel like it also has to do with the art style change as well. This is like a much darker story arc.
Yeah.
Um, so, but yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they actually do get involved in this fight between this Quincy and mostly, like I said, because they don't really engage much in fights in any of the story arcs of Bleach up until this point.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see how Yachiru and Isane are going to handle themselves against this new Quincy that just pops out of nowhere. But yeah, but it doesn't look like it also doesn't look like Ichigo is going to be coming back anytime soon. Probably we won't see him until like maybe until like the finale of this core.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of one of my main issues so far with this core is just that Ichigo has been just really been in the background for most of it. And I mean, you might be right though, because I feel like they probably are saving it till the end when he shows up, which I understand why they're doing it that way, but it's still kind of annoying because he is technically the main character. And, I mean, I do like that they are focusing on a lot of the other characters, but Ichigo had definitely taken a back seat in this core.
So bring this up before the recording is just I just feel like the story's going a lot faster than I believe it is. Because just due to the fact like how fast the whole Rukia and Asnot fight just went down in just one episode. I honestly thought it was gonna go on for maybe another episode onward, but they just literally just like faced off against each other and they just ended it off from there immediately. And and honestly, I mean, I have my doubts that whether or not this should be even 4 cores or even they or whether or not they have a reason that this needs to be 4 cores or something.
I mean, it could be that they might have cut some things from the fight because I remember some people that read the manga said they cut some parts out of the Renji fight with Mask, um, but most of it wasn't too bad from like what I understand. So I feel like the fights are probably like this in the manga, but I haven't read this part of the manga, so I can't say for sure. But for me, I didn't really mind it. I thought the fight was was pretty well paced for the most part. I mean, it feels like, especially in comparison to the fights in the original series, that they definitely tended to drag on, but a lot of that had to do with just the anime original content and the filler that was inserted in between certain fights that made
Yeah.
them feel like they just went on and on and on forever. Here, of course, we don't have that problem, so we're just they're just adapting what was in the manga.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it feels different in comparison to
Yeah.
how it was in the original series.
I do admit that it's a lot better executed in this arc than rather than what we had to deal with like in the fake Karakura Town arc where like in those
Yeah.
last sets of episodes, they just jumped from character to character to character to character to see what was going on in their own fights, but it doesn't really give us like enough time to focus on just one set of characters fighting each other. Like them jumping around to kind of I don't know it kind of made it distracting every time they just jump from character to character each time. But I do like the fact that they're focusing on um like one set of fights in each episode rather than jumping over and over again.
Yeah, I do know what you mean in that regard. I mean, I do remember from Fake Hardcore Town they did tend to do that quite a bit. Um, it's possible it had to do with maybe the way the anime was structured. Maybe it didn't happen the same way in the manga, and maybe the anime just didn't know how to properly adapt it or something. But yeah,
Or maybe it was the manga the way it was written at the time.
yeah,
Unlike right now, in which like we have one episode focusing on Rukia going up against Asnot. The last episode was just Renji fighting up against Mask, and the last episode uh, is uh, is Bambietta going against Kamamura, and so on and so forth. So it like this season is definitely giving each fight the time it needs to to showcase you know just to showcase the entire storyline, I guess, more
mhm.
properly.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about the episode. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
It's still a good season. I mean, still personally, to me, it's like I feel like it's going a lot faster than I thought it was going to be. But at the pace it's going, yeah, it's I feel like we're gonna get a lot more of the other Soul Reapers going up against the Quincy's before we get to see Ichigo coming back sometime in the finale.
Yeah, most likely. But yeah, guys. So that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.